Hey everyone, welcome. We're going to get started here in just a minute. Feel free to drop any questions you have in the chat. We do have a couple that were sent in ahead of time that we'll get over to, but if you want to drop any that you have right off the bat in chat, go for it, and we'll join you here in just a minute. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Office Hours. So glad to have you here today. My name's Mitch, joined with Mike, and we're happy to spend the next hour here with you all and try to help you get unstuck on anything that you're stuck on at work and help you with any like Microsoft strategy, any technical issues that you're having. Happy to chat about those and help you get unstuck. Just a couple housekeeping things before we jump in. If this is your first time here, we do this the first Wednesday of every month, basically just opening our door to, we do work with clients all the time, and sometimes people can't necessarily afford to engage us on a project, but they still need a little help, so we wanted to provide this as a way for people to do that. So this is Office Hours. We go live on both Teams and YouTube. Those of you on Teams are welcome to raise your hand if you want to come off mute and we can have a conversation. Those of you on YouTube, you just have chat. So next time register for Teams if you want to come off mute. A couple other housekeeping things today. So we do offer a form on our website that if you have questions that you come across in your daily work and you're like, oh, I want them to answer that next Office Hours, there's a form on our website where you can just drop your question in there, and then we will have it at the top of our list for next time. So feel free to do that. The last thing before we go, I do want to share an update. So we have a team here in the studio that's running this meeting. The team is going to be changing a little bit. We have found out that Benjamin, who is sitting at our studio desk, is going to be moving to North Carolina. So this is his very last Office Hours with us live. So if you want to show some love for him in our chat, we'd love for you. He edits all of our YouTube videos, and if you found any of those helpful, and we want to show some love to Benjamin as he's still going to be around editing some videos for us, but just not here. So I do want to have him come wave as well as unveil. We've been working in the studio to give things a little fresh look. You're probably used to this like gray paper wall, but we have a new, here's Benjamin, say hi, say bye. Anyway, we've been putting up a cool little slat wall to kind of freshen things up. Go for it. 3, 2, 1, yeah. Ooh, that's loud. I'm sorry, everybody. But yeah, little facelift for us. So yeah, excited to have. keep it down back there. Anyway, this is just fun for us because we get to hang out as a team and help you all along the way. So that's enough of me rambling. Mike, do you have anything to share before we go into our first question?
I feel like we're truly in the trap of like the YouTuber trap, like get the studio all just the way that you want it. And I don't know. I see a lot of that. Like everybody's like unveiling their their studios. Yeah.
It's not about what we produce on YouTube. It's about our system that we use to produce on YouTube. It's like getting meta about everything.
Hey, things need to be visually interesting. So to the extent that this is more visually interesting, that's great.
Cool. Well, we have one question from Jeff. I'm going to read that, but we do have a question that we got ahead of time just about our help desk app. Mike, do you want to read through that one for us?
Aren't you the one that made the video on that help desk app?
You're the Power Apps expert. Oh, and Jeff, the one who has a question here in Teams, also sent it ahead of time. So, yeah, this is going to be a good one to chat through.
All right, let me see if I got to find it. Where is it in the feed? Is it this one?
No. That one.
This one here, yeah. All right, so Mike McGrath asked a question after he selected the template and downloaded it from the link. He moved to the step to address the SharePoint and email API. He wants to know if he's okay with selecting his email for SharePoint. However, his email does not appear for Office 365. So if he selects Create, my Office 365 email is listed. I select it and it says connected, but no option to save and continue to launch the import button. It's grayed out, not able to import. So he's importing his application, the template, and he's trying to like set up the connections for his user for SharePoint and O365. So the O365 users or whatever that connector is, as he's importing the app. So if it's the first time he's setting up one of those connections, it's probably like, oh, you need to create a connection, right? So that's the process, I guess, that he's going through. But he says it's still grayed out and he's unable to import the app.
Yeah, what
Any
could
thoughts?
he be running in? I don't know.
Let's see.
However, my email does not appear for O365.
Oh, yes. So I have a good idea of what this is now that I'm thinking about it. So I've been here before. It's not intuitive. When you do this and you have to create a new connection, so for the O365 connection, it's going to take you away to another screen to create that connection, and you'll like put your username and password in or authenticate, and it'll create that new connection. And then it may just close that tab and take you back to where you were when you were importing the app, and you'll need to refresh. There'll be like a little refresh arrow there next to that connection that will let you then select from the new connection that should be in that list for you now. And then once you actually select that connection, then it should let you move on. So my guess is, based on the description here, that you simply didn't select the connection that you had created in that second step. Does that
Sounds right.
sound right?
Yeah.
Like
I don't know as much about the import process.
Well,
So,
it's just trying to set up all of the connections. And if you're new to the Power Platform environment and he likely has not made a connection to that O365 users connector yet. And so it's got to create a new one. And it's not so intuitive. Like it bounces you between two different tabs to create the connection. Then you come back and it's like, oh, I'm here. I created the connection. What next? And you got to know to refresh that list and then pick that connection.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, hopefully that's helpful to Mike McGrath from Xerox. Cool. Next question was from George Davis King Jr. They asked, can I use Copilot to create long content materials in marketing? The answer is yes, depending on a couple things. When you use Copilot, like Microsoft 365 Copilot, in context of other tools, you get a business, like organization grounded response. So it's very like business focused. It's not necessarily turning on that like creative marketing hat. You can choose to ground it in like web content to use everything that's out on the web to inform how it answers. And you get sort of a different tone from it then. So while I don't necessarily say, like, recommend you use Copilot as a substitute to writing and getting good at writing, it can do the job. At least what we use it for is helping us structure different pieces of content and give us outlines, or just trigger some different ways for us to think about an idea. Less doing the actual writing, because you can kind of tell when an AI is writing stuff, unfortunately, unless it's a good. ChatGPT 4.0 has gotten a lot better disguising that. So that's it for George. Hopefully that's helpful. Okay, let's go on to Jeff's real quick before we jump into Jeff's. I forgot to say up front, we are launching a new course soon called the Total Communication Reset. I just recorded the first week of lessons a couple days ago, and so I'm super excited to get into that. If you're familiar with people CCing people when they think it's going to make you look bad, or maybe they're trying to promote themselves and then they CC someone, or people are just out of the loop or not responding to things and you're drowning in emails, and there's silos of information within your team. We're trying to fix all of that and try to break down all those silos and use technology to help your team communicate better. So I'm excited. It's a 20-day course where every morning we release a new kind of 5-minute lesson for you to watch and do a little bit of homework on and work together in a cohort on this topic. And we'll be going through that over a couple weeks. So super excited about that. We're going to drop a link here in chat. Right now it's just a wait list. So if you're interested, join the wait list and you'll be the first to hear about when we have more to share. But that kicks off July 15. So you're welcome to mark that down on your calendars. That aside, okay, Jeff asked some questions about Planner and Project for the Web and things around that. So I'm going to go, the one that he dropped in earlier this month, asked, as a consultant, I need to figure out how to sync from Planner to Project for the Web. My plan is a custom field in Planner with the ID of the task in Project for the Web, but dynamically creating said custom field does not seem to be an option. My only hope is the custom fields are created in Dataverse and I can address that in Power Automate. Any idea where the custom fields are stored? So the unfortunate answer is I don't believe that you can get to them as far as custom fields. You very well may be able to create them in Dataverse, which Mike might be able to talk to. But before we get into that, I've been down this path of saying, how do I sync something with Planner and keep things connected? Because I like some things of Planner, but it doesn't do everything that I need it to. And the best result that I've come up with is putting a string of an ID in between specific characters in the description of a Planner task and using that as the way to grab the relevant information or automate things. It is not good. I wish they would just add custom fields that it could grab and we could use. But you definitely can. It's not going to be used in the sense of a custom field. You're going to have to dump that information in the title field or in the description or somewhere that already exists. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
Well, so to answer this specific question, Planner data, so the task data itself, custom fields, descriptions, titles, that type of stuff is not stored in Dataverse. It's also not in SharePoint. It's its own thing. If you attach documents to Planner tasks, those get stored in SharePoint, but the data about that's on the Planner task itself is really nowhere easy for you to get to. There is a Graph API that will let you go after Planner tasks and plans. And so you could maybe try there. But honestly, I haven't done a whole lot with Planner from an integration standpoint because the easy connectors that you would otherwise use, let's say in Power Automate, are pretty weak. We've done some things where we create tasks automatically for people and things like that in specific plans. But when it comes to doing full-on enterprise project or task management with Planner as the vehicle for end user task consumption, it's kind of weak. There's not a real great way to manage it from a top level. But I'll post a link to some of the documentation on the Graph API that you can use to go after planner data. I'll post it in Teams.
Do you have any familiarity with adding custom fields in Project for the Web?
I don't, but
Okay.
I know somebody who might.
Yeah.
He's not on office hours today.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the short answer is hopefully you're not. I actually just released a video today that talks about, it's a mock keynote about things we wish they would have announced for Planner, and that is that it didn't feel like two separate products. Like they claim to be bringing them together, but it's still really just Planner, or you graduate to a Project for the Web project. And I wish it was just one thing where I could click, I want to add a custom field on this Planner plan. And not so much a choice between two different things.
I think Planner, I don't know what the end intent or end game is for Planner, but in its current state today, even though it brings together to-dos and planner tasks and tasks from other tools, it still feels like an individual productivity task management tool and not a enterprise task management tool. So
No. They'll sell you a project for that.
Yep.
Cool. And then, Jeff had another question related to that in Teams. When you create a new plan in Teams Planner, I see a choice between Premium and Basic, but that user has no Project One license. Is the Premium Planner option a paid option and just in trial, or is it permanent? So the Premium Planner is equivalent to Project Plan 1. And there's also Project Plan 3, which gives you even more. It is messy and annoying, but the gist is anyone that has a Microsoft 365 license will have access to Planner. In order to have Planner Premium or to be able to manipulate certain things in Planner Premium, they need an extra license. So it is a paid thing. You need to pay for that Project Plan 1 license. Planner Plan 1, gosh, it's so annoying. So that you can choose between Planner Plan 1 or Project Plan 3 or Project Plan 5.
But the minute you jump up to Project Plan 3, it's no longer just Planner, right? Am I wrong?
No, Planner Plan 1 it's technically Project for the Web, but they're calling it.
Yes. Okay. So
Planner.
right there, you're jumping. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So it costs extra money, which is annoying. The only nuance to that, I wish that I didn't have to explain the nuances of Microsoft licenses, and that's not a diss to the question. It is a diss to the licensing should be way easier. People without a Planner Plan 1 license can go in and manipulate their own tasks, like mark them complete. They just can't create new ones or do certain things that the people with the license have. So there's a nice wall there for some users. Interested to see how all this plays out over the next little bit. Okay, we have two other questions. Let's go to Roger in Teams, and then I'll start reading Danya's in YouTube.
All right. So Roger says he's trying to create a list from a formatted Excel file. It's about 1,000 lines, so rows, and 15 columns, about 150K. Lists won't import the file, but a 5-line version of it appears instantly. Is there a size restriction for lists from Excel or a way around it? So see, 1,000 lines isn't that many. I don't know of a restriction that would stop you from doing that. That doesn't sound overly large at all. So I would expect it to work as you're trying to make it work. I would ask you if you're receiving any error, or sometimes there'll be like a processing little animated rotator up in the upper right-hand corner of a list while it's trying to do something, or while you're building that list. I would pay attention to that to see if there are any status notifications coming out of that, to see maybe if there's something else going on. The workaround that I can think of for this would be create your list initially from Excel if you want to, and with 5 rows or with no rows, whatever you want to do there. But then you can flip the the list itself into grid view mode. And then as long as all of your columns are in the right order, you can copy the entirety of the content of your Excel spreadsheet minus the column headers and paste it into that grid view, and it will just fill it up in grid view. It might take it a minute or two for it to like do all of that, because it's basically doing a bunch of front end stuff.
He says OneDrive says something like preparing to upload for hours.
For hours. Interesting. And if you refresh the page or leave and come back, is it still uploading? Quit, sync, restart, same error. Interesting. So if, like, honestly, the workaround that I would try to employ would be that edit in grid view mode. Like, I would flip it to that, like with all your columns in the same order that they are. I do that rather often, actually, when somebody gives me an Excel file and I need to load it into in a SharePoint list or Microsoft lists. And as long as the columns line up and they're the right data types, you can just paste it right in. And you'll actually see it go through each row, save, 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 save. And that's the part that'll take a little bit of time, which it should. You've got 1,000 rows, but that would be the workaround that I would try if you keep bumping into the problem that you're experiencing.
So the bulk upload does not quite work as expected.
That's what it sounds like. I feel like 1,000 rows shouldn't kill it.
Yeah.
But like maybe it will. I don't know.
Okay. Roger says, I'll try that. Thanks. No problem. Thank you for the question. We have a couple other people typing in Teams, but we do have a question from YouTube from Danya. Thanks for the question. They ask, how can we notify staff in Teams for a new SharePoint news post? The intranet is embedded in Teams using connections. Mobile users get notifications in Teams, but desktop users want similar notifications. Our org is trying to ditch using Teams channels for posting org-wide updates, but I don't know how else to notify in Teams. We've done this. We have a solution. I just asked one of our team members. Okay, so they gave me access. I'll be able to share my screen in a minute here, but we have a flow set up that watches certain news sites for posts, and then posts. We use Slack, so we have it going to Slack, but it's the same idea. Let's see.
I was going to, I'll pose the question so somebody from our team could chime in and maybe answer from the background. But if you told your users to follow the site, wouldn't they then receive something in their activity feed whenever a new article is posted?
Yeah, but that puts the onus on the people.
Right. So the question is, do you want your people to have to follow your sites, or do you want to force the notification? So there is a way without a flow that Mitch is kind of alluding to, that they could receive those notifications just by following the site.
Let's see, I'm going to hit pause and try to show you the actual flow here in a minute, but I'm going to pull up. We wrote about this a couple years ago. I think we've since evolved some of the logic in how we set it up, but I'm going to drop the link here in Teams chat, and then we'll have the people post it over our studio team. Benjamin, who's only here for a couple more weeks, post it over in YouTube. Sorry. They say it's really bizarre that the notification comes in on mobile Teams activity feed. Definitely prefer the non-user action, but can't rely on everyone to do it. Totally agree. Yeah, those notifications are strange. Like, I know you can subscribe, set up a connection in Teams to a SharePoint site, like when you set it up where the news is posted on a team site to automatically post to the team. But you can't set it to grab from any site and post in the same format to that team, which is really annoying. All of our strategy guidance is around doing a news site per topic, and that does not integrate well to the notification aspect of wanting to be able to send a user notification. Like you actually have to set up that automation, which is doable. It's a one-time thing, but I wish there was like a switch that you could just flip and make it happen. Let's see. I'm gonna double check my flows.
Yeah, I don't have access to that flow, I don't think.
We'll see. Sometimes those things take a minute to show up. But let's go over, I think Jeff followed up and said, just figured out that project comes with Dynamics as well. That's how the user had access. When I took away the license, the free trial came up as expected and you described. Interesting. I didn't...
So project for the web is based on, is a Dataverse app.
Yes.
Yep.
So
that would give them permission or access to Dynamics or Dataverse, at least. I don't know about Dynamics, but Dataverse, yes.
Yeah, you should have known better, Jeff. That's obviously, oh my gosh, it's so obscure. Yeah. Jeff says, so sorry. No, it's silliness. Okay, let's go to YouTube. Danya says, right, bummer. Issue is they want those channels to go away, so where would I post, right? Awkward. Thanks for sharing that. Might rework plan. The reality is your organization should have an organization-wide team with a channel. That is where important news goes, and people look to get official information. And that should be where it gets posted.
I think that's what she alluded to in saying that the news, like they have an intranet that's embedded in Teams using connections. So they have like the home site configured, right?
Yeah.
So
but they want to get rid of the channels. They want to ditch using Teams channels for posting org-wide updates. So there's two things. One is you shouldn't ditch team channels. You should get people absolutely 100% used to using channels to consume information that they don't need on an immediate basis or can browse and look at the history of when they want. And then the second thing is utilize the automated like things you may have missed in SharePoint. Those notifications are super powerful. It sort of automates the newsletter process, the traditional newsletter process, and just shows people what they need to know. So while it's not immediate, then you can use it for people to get like at the end of the week and things like that. They said, yep, too much org activity driving us over to intranet. Teams is a nightmare. Teams is a nightmare for sure. We have too many channels and staff are getting lost. Teams treats all posts as same urgency, which is an issue. I agree. This is all great ammo for my course coming up. These are all important topics, definitely. How do you prevent those things from becoming noise? How do you make the important things important? And how do you make the things that you don't necessarily always need to see something that you can just refer to every so often? So there is another resource that I can point you to real quick. Maybe if Livy can track down, we have a Taming the Team's Chaos workshop or webinar that we have available. That goes to the heart of like, okay, let's take a step back and start to understand what is the goal here? How should we approach this? How do we make it reasonable and not chaotic? So, yeah.
So I think the other thing that I'm picking up on here is we all living through the email era, many of us work on a premise of inbox zero. And when you have a lot of activity going on in Teams, right, and you're a member of a number of different teams and all of that stuff shows up as unread, like there's still that urge to get to inbox zero, and Teams is just kind of your new inbox. And so there's a bit of a mind shift or a mindset shift there as well. Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. The notion of we literally don't send each other emails. We're small, so I know that there's nuance to all of that, but we do not email each other. All of our stuff is through Slack. And yes, that can feel annoying, and some people do better at managing that than others, but it is a culture and training thing that we when we onboard someone new, that is part of one of our meetings. We're like, here's how to use these tools, and here's how to approach it. I do know that they said the intranet equals the official repository for those things. I 100% agree. The intranet should be the official place. People should naturally be visiting that. That should be their homepage when they open up a browser. That should be the place that they get used to accessing resources regularly and be the source of truth. The notification aspect is, we can't control what shows over in the activity feed, but if we can fold those important notifications into a team that isn't overly noisy, that can appear as an official source, just to show up in the context of a tool that people are used to working in throughout their day, that can be beneficial. They said, we don't email either, totally hear you. It's just an adjustment and ever-evolving process. Yes, there is so much status quo and habit that is formed over many, many years that is not an easy, it is not, there's no switch that you can just flip and have it automatically better. There are some methods to make it more consumable and actionable, but it is going to be something that people get used to over time. All right, we have 2 other questions. Yeah, well, let me hit pause really quick. We're at the halfway mark. If you're just joining us, welcome to Office Hours. We do this the first Wednesday of every month, and happy to hang out and chat. My name's Mitch. This is Mike, and we love kind of helping people get unstuck and share some things that we've learned through the years of consulting with you all. So let's go to let's go to Maxim's really quick on YouTube, and then we'll go to Bargov's on Teams. So Maxim says, hi guys, please explain how it is possible that in Word Online, it doesn't function, the wrap text doesn't function in front of text and behind text. If you add any picture and try to do it, it will be buggy.
Yeah, so what Maxim is referring to is when you drop an image into your Word document, you actually have some formatting options. You can right-click on that image and you can tell it how to fit that image into the page, whether or not to stick it right in the text or before or after the text, right? How the text should wrap around the image. And he's saying that doesn't work well in Word Online. I believe you. I don't know that I've tried that recently, but that's highly likely that it doesn't work well in Word Online. There are a number of other things that don't work well in Word Online, things like quick parts, forms, so adding like form controls if you want somebody to fill out a form. In Word Online, there are definitely limitations there. And so when you need to do those types of things, I like the best answer is use the desktop app. The good news is, assuming you have the desktop app license, then you can, the collaboration experience is much better in the desktop app than it used to be, even just 2 or 3 years ago. And so if you're relying on the web experience for, that collaboration experience, use the desktop app to get past that and do, some more advanced things that actually work well. Whenever we're doing like creating documents and we're going to like export it to PDF or something like that because we care what it looks like, I use the desktop app all the time because all bets are off with Word Online.
I don't trust the Word Online one at all. And that's not saying it serves some purposes, but as far as like fidelity and making sure accurate representation of a page is there, I don't trust it. So it doesn't surprise me that there's those sort of limitations. The other question that I might ask before we assume that this is what final form this thing should take is ask the question, does this really need to be a document? Like the cases where we're going to build a Word document are few and far between. Most often, it's something that should live on an intranet or
as a page.
Yeah, as a page or something like we like Loop a lot. Loop does a great job with images and formatting and things like that. So I would maybe pause and I don't know exactly what your document is for, but that's always something we like to ask ahead of time is like, does this need to be a Word document?
Yep.
Is this going to end up being a PDF that just gets drowned somewhere and gets to be outdated? Dania says +1, it doesn't need to be a Word doc. if people aren't going to print it.
Right.
Yes, amen. Love it.
Yep. Yeah, and as she also pointed out, PowerPoint has some limitations in terms of some of the advanced features. Excel is another one. Like if you want to do some of the like get data functions and Power Query manipulation in Excel, you can't do it in Excel online. You got to download or access the document through the desktop app. So,
Oh, and I think it's Samantha over on Teams said, "I'm not Mike or Mitch, but I use OneNote, not Loop." Smiley face. Yes. Or I don't know who. For whatever reason, that user's name is.
it's Tanya.
Oh, it's Tanya.
I knew it was Tanya.
There's Tanya. Awesome. Yeah, Tanya's like our.
She's our champion.
Yeah. Well, whenever we're like use this cool new thing, she's like, "But wait, I'm in government and I can't use that thing. So here's my workaround
Yep.
that people in similar situations can use." So, love it. Okay, let's let's go over to the team side. Bargav, one of our workplace community members, is here asking a good question. I'll read it out and then we'll see what we can come up with. So, hi, Mike and Mitch. What platform do you recommend to use for taking personal reference notes that are not job role specific in a way that are accessible at work and even outside of work if you were to leave the company? For example, the SVG post that Michaela shared and the links in that post, he's talking about a post that she made in the workplace. She was sharing a tip that she figured out working in Power Apps, an easy way to manage SVGs and the colors and things like that. She posted that in our community. What's the best place to save such references in a way that I can easily access it regardless of which tenant I am logged into?
This is interesting.
Well, when it rides that line of personal versus professional world, there's a couple ways you could go. You could say, I love the Microsoft tools, and I should have my own personal license, and I can use Loop or something like that in this case to store all of these things, and that would work completely fine. The other is now that I'm disconnected from my work and I don't have to use the tech that my work has, it's greenfield what tool you can use. A super popular one for this type of thing in this space would be Notion. It's sort of what Loop is aiming to be, I think, eventually. As far as complexity and features goes, Notion is awesome and goes way further in that regard. That's a super common way to keep track of basically a database of stuff.
Reference material, yeah. I mean, this is a problem that, like, every time I've switched jobs, I've had a library of things that I wanted to take with me. And so having a personal account, with a OneDrive and a few of the other tools has been kind of my choice location to put that stuff, just as kind of a dumping ground where I'm confident it'll always be there and I can go get it when I need it. And it's relatively easy to get to it. Of course, depends on, whatever use policy your organization might have. Like maybe they let you connect with your personal account. Maybe they don't to some of those services. But so, be cognizant of that type of thing. But that's been a pretty effective tool for me.
It's a personal OneDrive or other tenant use is blocked at my work. Awesome. That's
there you go.
Just par for the course. Yep. Yeah. In those cases, it's to remove something from your work and store something separate, you need to treat it like its own entity. Like it is almost not related at all to your work. So you should regard it as, if I were not employed here, what tool would I use? Where would I put it? And try to figure out the easiest way to get information from one place to the other in a, an appropriate way. I think there's a lot of fear around like people copying stuff out of their workplaces and not using work tools. And as long as we're taking note of that, then it should be fine. Tanya says, yep, so OneNote and collaborate with yourself. I mean, hey, if that if that does the trick, by all means, go for it.
So it's interesting. He said other tenant use is blocked at my work, personal OneDrive or other tenant use. So what that tells me is he can't go to a URL like Outlook.com and
Sure.
log in with a personal account.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think we have. We do have one other question I'm going to go to. This is from, Sachi had left a question in our community that we thought might be relevant to office hours. But if you have any others, we got about 15 minutes or so left here to chat. Feel free to drop any questions you have in the chat. Let's go to Sachi's post. It was about Copilot, and I think I have the flow now. Let me
Switch gears. Back it up.
give me just a moment. There we go. Oops. Copy link. Oh, of course. We're playing a weird timing thing of sometimes things take a little bit to load and work. So it is, of course, not working for me right now. It's the nature of doing things live. So let's go to Sachi's question about AI and turning things on or off in Copilot. Let's see, where was that? Do you have it handy?
Yeah, I have it. So I'll go ahead and read it out for you. So I'm writing guidelines for AI usage without having a license of Copilot for M365. And I have a couple questions. Number one, can you disable Copilot from taking notes while meeting attendees are having a confidential conversation? That's an interesting question to be sure. And number two, can we disable AI tools other than Copilot in Teams? So stopping somebody from using Otter AI, for example. So those are the two questions.
Yeah. And because we got this ahead of time, I wasn't quite sure what the answer was. And so we leapt to Matt Dressel, who is our brain trust here at Bulb Digital.
The man with all the answers.
Yeah, he helped us with this answer. So the short answer is Copilot operates on transcriptions. So if you don't have a transcription, you can't use Copilot. So if your organization enables it, you can use Copilot without a retained transcription. And this means that there's a transcription being created, but it will be deleted when the meeting is complete. So it allows people to use Copilot during the meeting, but you have to turn that on before the meeting. So then after the fact, it sort of disappears. So as long as you don't have the meeting configured to use Copilot without transcription, and you don't have meeting recordings or transcriptions going, you should have what you want. Does that make sense? Any other thoughts?
I think that makes sense.
Okay. And then question 2 was, can we disable AI tools other than Copilot and Teams? So, he did not answer this question.
Yeah, he didn't really answer. So the way that I would answer this would be something like, the way that those work is like Mitch invites his Otter AI bot to
It's stuck on some of my meetings. I got to turn it off.
So he invited it. We allowed it to stay, so it's there, right? So as a meeting organizer, like the bare bones thing you could do would be like uninvite that thing from the meeting. Don't allow it to attend. I think there are some settings in Teams that let you dictate who can invite others, right? So when you're setting up the meeting, you can stop somebody from forwarding the invite and having that be a valid thing. And then the other thing I think you can do is you can also turn off specific users, participants' ability to admit others to the meeting. So if Mitch wanted to show up to my meeting and invite his Otter AI bot, and the bot showed up, nobody would be able to admit it except for the meeting organizer. So that's another setting that you could use. The other way to think of this is we don't know what the realm of possibilities are in terms of all of the AI tools that might get invited to meetings. And so there's no blacklist feature per se, right, that exists today anyways. Maybe that's something that would be nice to have.
Well, and I know there's some organizations where, they dictate external users or users that aren't invited to this meeting. Someone needs to allow them into the room before they can get in. So like
Right.
I have that with one of my clients. I joined from my Bulb account. And so I always have to sit there for a minute before someone clicks OK. So I imagine the same kind of concept works for an AI tool where if you have that policy set, then they can't just pop into the meeting.
Right. But that means that as a meeting organizer, you need to set the things up properly so that you don't inadvertently let somebody add someone, and then be vigilant when the bot does show up at the door.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. I think that's all the questions we had. I do want to give kind of one more prompt to people of if there's anything that you, Sachi says, thank you, no problem. If there's anything you are struggling with, something that you got coming up in the next couple of weeks, you're not exactly sure how to get over it, we're happy to talk through that. And the other prompt that I sort of like to give is like, what is the dream and what's stopping you from getting there? Like pretend in 6 months things are all better. You just wake up and all those things that you worry about are gone. What is that? Why? What's preventing you from getting there? And are there any questions that you could articulate around that? Is maybe my only other prompt. But we'll see if anyone drops a question here in the next minute or two. Otherwise, we'll close shop. And let's see. We have our next office hours coming up on July 3. So it's like sneaking in right before the holiday here in the U.S. And I think we're going to stick with that because the next week I will be on vacation. So we can't run this office hours that next week. So my last ask to you all is if we were able to help with anything today, we're going to be dropping a link in chat for you to, let's see, basically drop us a note, basically share, hey, Bulb Digital was able to help me. Those things are so valuable to us, or any sort of feedback that you have for us, we would love to hear it. I'm going to drop a link here in chat, and then we'll get it over in YouTube as well. Emma, our team, is asking, should we dress up in USA colors for the July 3rd office hours to pre-celebrate the 4th of July? I would love to see Matt Russell do that. Matt Russell's scheduled for the next one. We'll have to see what kind of spirit he's in.
I was just thinking the July 3rd scheduling is, it's holiday weekend, right? Like, we have the 4th off. We rotate, and I'm feeling lucky that I'm not in that rotation.
Yeah, those suckers are stuck.
Yeah.
We'll take the afternoon off.
Yeah, exactly.
Have our extra long weekend. Let's see. I see Bargov typing, so I'm going to say, we'll wait till you're done. You don't need to rush the typing. And we'll see if another question's coming in here. Should we have some elevator music going? Oh, yeah. Matt says he forgot to tell us he's out that day. Wink face. Yeah, of course Matt would say that. If this sort of interaction is helpful to you and you're like, hey, I have these sorts of questions regularly and I wish I just had someone to tap on the shoulder for these kinds of things, we'd love to have you in our community, our membership community called The Workplace. I love hanging out with everyone there. It's always a place where we can go and like work on our workplaces together. And it's just really interesting to be alongside people who are on a similar mission that we are, and that we get to play a part and helping them. So it also comes with like all of our resources are free. The upcoming course, the Total Communication, is free for those people. We try to pack it with as much benefit as we can. We'll drop a link to that as well if you're interested in learning more about the workplace, and maybe we'll see you over there. Thanks for the note, Bhargav. He says office hours are very helpful. I appreciate the wide array of knowledge you shared during this time. Thank you. We're glad that they're helpful. We love jumping on here to help. So with that, I think we're going to wrap up here. I don't see any other questions coming in. So mark your calendars for July 3rd. Mike and I will be out partying somewhere, but
I don't know. I'll be working.
Yeah. And thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you again next time.